coach and our guest analysts.
Locked in conversation until the last second here because we have plenty to say on game 2 of this series, but NRG making a pretty exciting finish to the game in the base race and a 2-0 victory over Fox in this series. Let's dive in. We'll get to the base race because that was exciting, and we will get to that, but there was a whole 35, 40 minutes of gameplay that led up to that. So starting with champion select here, last game, Echo Fox, a little magic damage heavy. This time around, a little AD damage heavy, so physical damage heavy. It is very peculiar that they're picking double AD with an AD jungler.
Right, I think like both times they kind of picked this carry top lane. First time they took a Rise, and then they paired it up with a Victor, and then they have the Gragas as well, or the TF, excuse me. But
right, and
they had triple magic damage. This time they have
triple AD.
They have the Swain, they flex it when they see the Jax, which I think is really cool to try and punish the Jax pick, but then they go with the Varus, which I don't really think is good.
I don't mind it too much if the execution is there, but the execution was just, I mean, you know, when we tuned into the game, we're like, okay, let's see what's going on. And then we see Varus dying behind the tier 2 at 4 minutes. Like, huh.
Yeah,
how did
we can't that's peculiar.
Happen?
Yeah, that's not how that's supposed to work. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, I understand the composition and the fact that, okay, we're going for a little bit of pokey siege here, but it's not. Yeah, the execution was not. I do want to dive into gameplay. 5 minutes in, criticism towards Fox once again, but very, very clear what the problem is in this situation.
So this is going to be a very clear macro play where in the lane swap situation, you have to address the wave crashes. So this wave is going to crash, and Fox is 1 level up on the Jax, so it's going to be really important to punish this Jax and either dive him or zone him off the turret. But Rek'Sai makes a mistake of recalling, and NRG recognizes the opportunity and just goes for the gank, where Rek'Sai should have been here and dove the Jax. NRG sees the opportunity and they go for it, and this is enough to actually win the lane back for the Jax.
Yeah. Look how much damage KFO does to Jax on his own.
What should have been the end of Jax's lane ends up becoming
his way back into
Jax
the game.
Crashes the wave all the way to the tier 1 and gets all the levels back. And Fox or Swain is still level 5, the exact same level he was at the tier 2 in the top side. So this is just a huge macro blunder with the jungle pressure and the waves. Maybe a lack of communication or just not understanding the macro play, which I'm starting to believe it's just both.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, the Rek'Sai was there.
Yeah.
It seemed like they knew what they wanted to do. They wanted to push that wave in, zone Jax off CS, you win the 2v2. And then they don't do that, and the worst thing was the wave didn't even really get into the turret.
Right.
So Jax, like you said, is able to freeze it after that kill, and when the wave finally gets back to KFO, Jax is level 7. When that play started, it was 3-5, it ends 7-5. Like, that's how big of a swing and a mistake that play was, because if Jax doesn't catch up there and pick up a couple random kills, which he tended to do the rest of the game, that could have been a huge, huge advantage for Echo Fox.
Right, and that's just 5 minutes of the game. Of course, it was a rather close game for a large majority of it. We saw, you know, kills and skirmishes traded back and forth. Even at 35 minutes, it was about 1K gold separating the two teams, so next to nothing. And that's where I do want to jump into our second replay here in the mid lane. As you see, Fox setting up that death brush with their initiate, choosing the fight here, but it's going to get chased out in the mid lane.
This is just a mistake by NRG, really overcommitting. I don't know what GBM is Zon using there. It was like a mystic shot only, and then he gets popped by a ton of CC after.
It's the pose.
Yeah, I don't know, the golden Victor pose. Like the idea of the flank is a little aggressive on its own, but then he really overreacts to basically no CC coming at him. If he can Zanya's the Zyra ult or something, I don't know. It's an aggressive play anyway, so I'm not exactly sure what you should do, but Zanya's in nothing is not quite right, and then once he gets popped, the Sivir's kind of running around, and it's just the play's in shambles.
Right, so here's the thing. Of course, both teams made mistakes. Both teams made good plays. That's all well and good. And then you have situations like this base race that seem to make the entire previous events entirely moot, right? Because it doesn't really matter how much gold is on the teams at these points or who won the last team fight. You're opting into a base race, and as we play this out, we'll talk about some of the decisions made by the Echo Fox squad here. But it is a peculiar thing. We don't see these happen very often anymore, and it's kind of clear that one team does not necessarily know what they want to do in this situation.
One of the big things you have to consider in a base race is the champions. How well can they push? Jax and Sivir will push extremely fast, way faster than anyone else. But Energy or Fox just doesn't decide what to actually do, and that's a spectator bug. Yeah, the inhibitor is still up, and then they're trying to recall, but it's already way too late. Sivir and Jax stayed, so it was a really good decision from Oki to stay behind and wait to see what Fox is doing. He sees that they're not reacting, they immediately go, and even if they made the recall right now, it's already too late. They have summoners, they have Sivir ult, they can kite around, and they just push way too fast. And to be honest, Fox is a team that is just at the bottom of the macro play. They should be trying to avoid every single macro scenario in the game.
Standard
no
lanes,
macro play, match every time. If there's somebody, just defend and just go off mistakes and wave clear.
Yeah, one thing I'll say just with the base race situation is usually the team that recalls first actually comes out ahead, and there's a number of reasons. One, in a situation where you recall like 3, if the team that stayed can't kill those 3 and dive the double Nexus turrets, they're going to hold, and your 2 people that you left behind are going to end the game. Because you're going to chase them down, they'll never get their recalls off. Even if you can't stop the recalls and you decide to recall the 2, you're on the map first. These other guys haven't gone back to shop yet. They're going to be, pressured around Baron most likely. And there's a number of situations that crop up where if you just leave all 5 to split push, like that support's not really doing much there, like unless it's like you're going for that dive. So it was just a mistake.
And unfortunately for these teams, base races don't happen very often, so you have very few options or opportunities to understand or learn these things. Either way, player of the game is going to go to Kwas on that Jax 6, 1, and 3. I mean, we mentioned how he shouldn't have been a part of this game. He was gifted that initial kill, and his way back in, he took advantage of it.
You get a gift, I mean, at least you know how to use it. So there's that.
He's a very happy boy with that gift. He's like, all right, thank you for that kill, Froggen. Thank you for not punishing the wave.
Yeah.
And then from there, he really did a good job making sure he was relevant the whole rest of the game. There were a lot of times where he was able to get flanks off and be the first one into fights. So he did a good job.
81.8% kill participation.
As a top laner and as Jax, that's actually unusual. Either way, good on Energy. They'll be happy with their victory, 2-0 over Equifox. We're out for a commercial break, but don't go anywhere. When we return, we're bringing the match of the week with us. Immortals versus Cloud9 begins in just 3.5.
Got a shout out to the American flag on the chair of GBM. Thank you very much.
His first 4th of July here, I assume.
And this is a bad spot to be a Swain. He's doing some damage to Quas, but not quite enough. This is a lost 2-on-2 that Energy wanted to have. Keith actually missed a shot blocked by minions, and he's just gonna die. Quas leaps in to say, hey guys, I'm back.
He was dead blind in that.
Oh, well, Froggen is gonna be blind and dead now, and this one, Quas on a rampage. He's got the Hex Trigger pop.
Gragas. Great Goose.
Go. Let's go. Edge. Now Siren. Okay. Go Baron.
Go Baron.
Recall's turret one is gone.
He did! He's
drop as well. GBM and Kiwi can lose their lives, but it stops the backs, and Energy make it a 2-0.